Hello, welcome back to Control Crafting, and in today's video we are going to study about patterns. So why we are going to study about it? It helps in logic building, but which part of our language is going to help us build our logic? So basically it helps in logic building of loops, particularly for loop. We are going to use for loop. So we use for loop to print patterns, and we use this pattern questions to build our logic around for loop. Okay, so let's get into our first question. That is, our question is print the pattern that you can see on your screen right now. And before jumping to this question, I'm going to have few rules mentioned here. Like the first rule of pattern printing is like one for loop should handle rows. Okay. Second, the next or another for loop should handle column. And then third is we have to build a relationship between rows and column and use that relationship to print our pattern. Okay, so these are the rules that we are going to keep in our mind and we are going to dive into the question. So first of all, as I have already mentioned, we have a row and column logic. So as you can see, I particularly have a kind of square here. If you eliminate the spaces between the rows, it's particularly 5 rows and 5 column square. Let me show you. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see there are 5 rows and 5 columns. Okay, so for each value of row and column, we have a star. What I mean by that statement is like 0, comma 0, we have a star here. Okay, 2 comma 1. Okay, we have a star here. For value 3 comma 3, we have a star here. For value 4 comma 3, we have a star here. So for every possible value that we can locate in a square, we have a star. This is the logic we are going to have right now. And for loop, int I is equal to 0, I is less than. So we are going to start our outermost loop taking I as a variable. As you can see, the outermost loop, one for loop should be the row one. So which for loop should be for rows? So it's the outer one. Outermost loop should be for rows. So okay, so I is going to handle the number of rows we are going to have in our pattern. How many rows do we have here? We have 5 rows. So I starts from 0, I goes up to 5, like less than 5 here, because I'm starting from 0, so obviously it's going to be minus 1. Therefore, I am writing I is less than 5, not I is less than equal to 5. So we have 5 rows, okay, this is handled. And what we have to do, we have to increment the value of I plus plus. Okay, so the number of rows are handled by this for loop. The next one is next for loop should focus on column, that is inner loop. So what the inner loop do? The inner loop does one thing, that is focus on the column. And our column starts from 0 to 4. Starts from 0 and ends to 4, that is less than 5 per year. So these are the two for loops we are going to implement for this particular pattern. Now, our next question arises like, okay, how we are going to print the stars and how we are going to pinpoint the location of each star. So as you can see, there is no empty star here, like no position from 0 to 4 in row wise and 0 to 4 in column wise. There is not an empty position. So we have to fill each and every position of row and column combination with a star. So just directly we have to print our star here. And there's one more thing in this pattern. The thing is, after printing up to 5 stars, our line changes. Then after printing up to 5 stars, our line changes. It's not like we are printing in the same row again and again. We are changing our row. That is, we are changing the value of I. We are changing the value of I here. If you can notice, for 0, I have 0 is the row. I have all the positions of the column filled by a star, like for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. For 0, 0, I have a star. For 0, 1, I have a star in that position. Similarly for 2, for 3, and for 4. For all these positions, I have a star. And then we changed our line. We performed the same thing for 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, for 1, 0, I have a star up to 1, 4. And as soon as we reach to 4, I changed my line again, and then I am on the third row. Similarly, we will go to the fourth row and then to the fifth row. So as you can see, for each and every 0, there is a whole number of columns. So what this 0 represents in our logic is this outermost for loop. And what's this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the column represents our inner for loop. So as soon as we are done with printing with the innermost for loop, that is, as soon as we are done with printing all the stars for row 0, we have to change our line for row 1. As soon as our condition for this for loops get false, we are going to print a println and then end. So what it does, it will print stars for a particular value of I. It will print 5 stars for a particular value of I, and as soon as 5 stars are printed, it will change the line, and then it will again go to the outermost for loop, increment value of I, and again for that particular incremented value of I, it will again print all those 5 stars because of this innermost for loop. And then as soon as it hits its condition, then again is going to change the line. So first of all, let's understand it with a simple dry run. I'm going to have a dry run of this code beside it. So I have I is equal to 0, my first condition. I is less than 5. Yes, that condition is true. I'll go to the inner for loop. I'll see the value j. J is equal to 0. Is it less than 5? Yes, my condition is true. I will come to the code where our stars are getting printed. So since both the for loops are true, my code will print a star. Here j is equal to 0. Again, after printing this one, my control will go to j++. It will check the condition that for the value j is equal to 1. Is j is less than 5? Yes, it is. And again, it will print my star because that's the code I want to run when my conditions are true. So I'll go for a star. Again, my control will go to the j++ and increment its value to 2. A star is printed because j is less than 5. For 3 also, a star is printed. And similarly for 4, a star is printed. As soon as for j is equal to 4, a star is printed, and I'll go, my control go to j++ and j value become 5. This condition, j is less than 5, is false. It's not true anymore. So I will have to come out of the innermost for loop, and we are in the outer for loop. And in the outer for loop, I have a condition then that I have to go to our next line. So now we are before like we were here. So now we are here in our next line, as you can see in the next line. Now, okay, let's just clear it out a little. Now we are in our next line. So for I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. For j is equal to 0, j is less than 5, j plus plus. Sy, so, star, sy, so. Okay. So for I is equal to 0, we have done with all the possible values of j for I is equal to 0. Now we are in the next line. Now as soon as we printed our next line, we are completed for the one iteration. For which loop? For the outer loop. For this loop. So this whole iteration, this whole inner loop was performing for I is equal to 0. Similarly, it will perform for I is equal to 1. Okay, because as soon as we have completed this set of code is completed. Now our I will get incremented and it will check whether I is less than 5 is a true condition or it's a false condition. If it's a true condition, then it will go in our inner loop. For I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 0, I have to go to print a star. For j is equal to 1, I have to print a star. Similarly for 2, 3 and 4. As soon as j becomes 5, my condition is like false. I have to come out from this inner loop. Now I am in the, like, this is the inner loop. Now I am in the outer loop where I have to change my line. I'm here now and increment the value of I by 1. So now I is equal to 2, and for I is equal to 2, j will repeat the same. For 3 also, j will repeat the same, and for 4, j is repeated as the same. And in this way, our whole set of stars line, they are printed for each row. For each row, we have 5 stars. So this is the way we are going to print this. So now let's get into our code. This is the code. Let's erase the previous ones. Okay, so for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. Let's see whether our logic is going to be correct or not. J is less than 5, j plus plus. What we have learned that in the inner loop, I have to print my star. Okay. And in the outer loop, I have to print a next line. Now let's run the code. Oh, see, I have done a println command here, okay? But what a println does it just go to the next line. It will print a value and then it will go to the next line. So I just have to print here, not a println. So because I have to print a sequence of star up to like 5 stars I have to print together. That's why I'm not using println here. Now, as you can see, we have a okay. As you can see, we have a pattern printed over here, similar to like exactly same to our question. So you can ask one thing like, okay, I'm going to only print for 5 rows and 5 columns? No. So the number of rows or the number of columns or the kind of pattern you have to print will be defined by a user. So how we are going to handle that? We will have a int n that will define up to which row, up to which column we are going to print our particular pattern. So suppose I have put our int n is equal to 10. So by this statement, I'm saying that I want to print this star pattern like in a square format for up to 10 rows and consisting of 10 columns. So simply, I'm going to change I is less than n and j is less than n because our variable only holds an integer value. Like I is less than 5 will be the same as I is less than n if n is equal to 5. So for n is equal to 10, let's see how our code will work. So as you can see, there is a pattern by 10 cross 10 where 10 stars are printed for a particular row up to 10 rows. So this is the problem where we have studied. Now let's get into our different problem. That is, now we will be moving on to our second question, that is a right angle triangle in the shape of star. So rule number 1 says for loop, the outer one should be for rows. Okay, so let's see how many rows we have here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we have 5 rows. So rows, they are equal to 5. But we have a condition here. Like for our first row, we have 1 star. For second row, we have 2 stars. Like 2 columns are filled. For third row, we have 3 stars. 3 columns are filled. For third row, we have 4 stars. 4 columns are filled. For fifth row, or for fourth row, if we are starting from 0, then our stars are there 5. So 5 columns are filled. Okay, so you can see that both the column, both the row and column, both values are getting incremented. So if they are getting incremented, then we have to have a increment operator in our for loop. That's clear. Okay. So I is also getting incremented and number of stars, they are also getting incremented. So I and j will start from 0 and they will have a increment operator. This much knowledge we have from the first glance of this question by analyzing the patterns and by analyzing the rows and columns. Now, what kind of relation we can build in between the row and column so that for our first row we have only 1 star, for our second row we have 2, for third we have 3, for 4 we have 4, and for 5 we have 5 stars. So as you can see, if we are on the first row, we are printing only 1 star. If we are in the next, like the second row, we are printing 2 stars. If we are in the third row, we are printing 3 stars. Or to eliminate your confusion, you might get confused with the number of values I'm changing from 0 row to the first row. Actually, these values are like first row is only there, but for our convenience, we start from 0. So I'll say it's the first row, but index wise, it starts from 0. So for first row, I have 1 star, second row, I have 2 stars, third row, I have 3 stars, fourth row, 4 stars, and fifth row, 5 stars. So particularly on which row we are printing only that number of stars. If we are on the first row, we only have 1 star. If we are on the second row, we only have 2 stars. So the number of row I am which, the row I am inserting my value in will decide how many stars I am going to have. So first of all, let's write our for loop rows. 5. Okay. Now for j is equal to 0, j is, and we know j will be incremented. So j starts from 0 and j will get incremented. Now here is the relationship part. Hmm. So for I is equal to 0, j is equal to 0, I have to print 1 star. So j is dependent on I, but j should be less than or equal to I. Okay, so how I have written this? J is less than equal to I. Let's understand that. For I is equal to 0, I am on the 0 position. Okay, first of all, let's clear this up. Then you will understand it clearly. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, here we have 2, here we have 3, and here we have 4. So for I is equal to 0, j is equal to 0, I have to print 1 star. Okay. For I is equal to 1, I have to print a star at the 0th position of j and the 1 position of j also. That's how our two stars will get printed. For I is equal to 2, I have to print a 0 position I, 0 position star, first position star, and then second position star. So for 0, I have to print 0 position star. For 1, I have to print 0, 1 position star. For 2, I have to print 0, 1, 2 position star. For 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And for 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to here. So can you see a relationship here? That for each value of I, j is less than or equal to I. Let that thought consume you right now. Like for j, for every value of I, j is less than or equal to I. This is what we analyzed from our diagram and we are going to implement in these for loop. Now you will understand why pattern printing is important. So we are clear up to here. For each value of I, j is less than or equal to I. Now we will write our code for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. Next code int j is equal to 0, j is less than equal to I, j plus plus. And when these two conditions meet, then we have what we have to do? We have to print our star. And as soon as our inner for loop condition is like terminated, then what we have to do? We have to come in a next line. 2 star, they are like printed in our console. We have to come into next line. So next line. I hope I don't have to explain this concept again. We just discussed it before. Now let's have a dry run for this set of code. So for I is equal to 0, I is equal to 0. Is I is less than 5? Yes, it is. I'll go in the innermost loop. For j is equal to 0. Okay. J is less than I. Is j is less than equal to I? Yes, it is. What we have to do? We have to print a star. Okay, a star is printed. Now, j plus plus. J value is 1. Is it less than or equal to I? No, because I has a value 0. Now we had what we have to do? We are out of this inner loop. we have to print our next line. I am going to print here. Okay. So we have printed the star here. And now we're in the next line here. Again, I'll go to the outer loop. I will increment my value. I is equal to 1. So is it less than equal to less than 5? Yes, it is. Now I'll go to j. For j is equal to 0. Is it less than or equal to I? Yes, 0 is less than 1. So I'll print a star. Again, j plus plus j is equal to 1. Is our condition true? J is less than equal to I? Yes, 1 is equal to 1. Then we will print our star again. Now j gets increment by 1, j plus plus. We'll check our condition. Is it true? No, it's not. Then we will get our, like our code will get terminated, and then we are out of this inner for loop. Then what's our code here? We have to print a we have to go to our next line. Okay, now we are here. Then again for I is equal to we have completed iteration for I is equal to 0, I is equal to 1. Now for I is equal to 2, we will check that I is less than 5. Yes, it is. So again, we will go into the block of code which holds the outer for loop, like the code for the outer for loop. So now again, j is equal to 0. Yes. Is j is less than equal to 2? Yes, it is. We will print a star. J plus plus, our condition is true? Yes. 1 is less than 2. So again a star. And then we will go to j plus plus again. J value becomes true. Is our condition true? I is equal to 2, j is equal to 2. Yes, they both are equal. We have a equal to in our condition. So a star is printed. As soon as j get incremented one more time, our condition is false. I have to come out of our like inner for loop. Then I am in the outer for loop code where we have to print a next line. So now I am here and our code will run as usual. So our code will run as usual for I is equal to 3 where j value varies from 0, 1, 2, 3. Similarly for I is equal to 4, j value varies from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This. We have a right angle triangle similar to the question that we had before. Now let's get into our code and implement our logic. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. The next logic is for int j is equal to 0, j is less than equal to I, j plus plus. System dot out dot print. What we have to print? A star. And as soon as we are done with the inner for loop, we have to print a next line. Okay. Now I'm going to run the code. We have a right angle triangle in the shape of stars. So the next question is, are we going to print up to only 5 rows? No. We can have multiple values. Like in the main method, int n is equal to, you can have any value for n. Suppose we have taken in the previous example 10, so we're going to take 8. And I is less than n. Now you can see the same code runs for 8 times for 8 rows. And we have a bigger right angle triangle. So this is the second question. So now moving on to the third question, that is, our inverted right angle triangle. So first of all, let's focus on how many rows we have. We have one, two, so we have 5 rows here, and each row stars in each row, like the 0th row have the maximum number of stars, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has 5 stars. First row, it has 4 stars. Second row has 3 stars. Third row has, fourth row has 2 stars, and fifth row has 1 star. So as you can see that we are increasing the value of I, that is we are increasing the value of rows, our number of stars gets decreased by 1. And similarly our rows are also getting increased by 1. So as we have studied in the above two question, that our row for loop will be same. Okay, so this for loop will handle the number of rows as usual, but the innermost for loop, that is int j. So okay, so j in the first row has maximum stars. Obviously j is not going to be initialized as 0. It will be initialized as maximum star. So the maximum star we can have in our first row or in any row is 5. So j must be initialized as 5, and j is getting decreased, so j minus minus. Now what this condition hold? Let's get into it. For I is equal to 0, j goes from 5, 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For I is equal to 0, j goes from 5, 4, 3 to 1, because up to here from 5 to 1 we have already printed our 5 stars. Similarly, for I is equal to 1, j goes from 5, 4, 3, 2. Up to 2 we have already printed our 4 stars. I is equal to 2. J goes from 5, 4, 3. Okay, we stop here because we are only going to print 3 stars for our third row. That is for I is equal to 2. Okay, now for I is equal to 3, how many stars we are going to print? That is 2 stars. And J being started from 5, how many times it should go to print 2 stars? Up to 2 times. So j value is 5 and j value is 4. So can you see a pattern here? Whatever value of I have in my code, our j never reaches that value. Like for I is equal to 0, j is not equal to 0. For I is equal to 1, j is not equal to 1. For I is equal to 2, j is not equal to 2. For I is equal to 3, j is not equal to 3. That means for particular value of I, j will always be greater than I. Listen it once again. For a particular value of I, j will always be greater than I, because I will decide up to how many rows we have reached and how many stars we have to print. If I'll go any further, I is equal to 4 and j is equal to 5. For the fourth row, for the last row, I have to only print 1 star. And you can see I have printed my inverted array here. So for the sake of our understanding, I'll just go through the dry run of this code. Okay. and we'll see how it works, how the logic of both for loops work. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. Again the inner loop is for int j is equal to 5, j is less than I, j minus minus, because the number of stars is getting decreased. SYSO star, and I don't think so I have to tell you that after the termination of the inner for loop I have to print a new line. So this is our code. For dry run, let's take this. So for dry run we have I is equal to 0. Is it less than 5? Yes it is. For int j is equal to, the condition is true, then we will go to the next line of our code. For int j is equal to 5, okay, j is 5. Is it less than, sorry, j is greater than I, okay. So for I is equal to 5, is j greater than I? Yes, 5 is greater than 0. Then what we will do? We will print one star. J gets decrement 4. Is our condition still true? Yes, 4 is greater than 0. We'll print a star. J get decrement again. Check the condition. Again true. We will print a star. It again get decrement to our condition. It's again like we are satisfying our condition. Then we will again print a star. 1. Our condition is true, as 1 is greater than 0. We will again print a star. Now as soon as we will hit a 0, and we'll check our condition that oops, j is now equal to I. So our condition is false right now. Therefore, we have to terminate from the inner for loop, and we will go to our rest of the code that is written in the outer for loop, that is printed a next line, like we have to go to the next line. So here we are, and then we will again, since for I is equal to 0 our iteration is complete. For I is equal to 0, we will again go back to our for loop, increment the value of I, because there is I plus plus, by 1, and we check our condition. Is 1 less than 5? Yes it is. So for j, again we will go to the inner for loop and we will start from 5. For j is equal to 5. Is 5 greater than 1? Yes it is. Then I have to print a star. Similarly for 4, the condition is true. It will go up to 3, 2. So 2 is also greater than 1. As soon as we will hit a value where j is equal to 1, then I is also equal to 1. Our j greater than I condition is false right now. Then what we will do? We will go to our next line. And since it is a block of code of the outer for loop, we'll go to the next line. Our iteration for I is equal to 1 is completed. Then we will move back to the for loop for I is equal to 2. Now j will go up to 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3, only 3, and 3 stars will be printed. Similarly, if we follow the condition, I will hit 3 and I will hit 4. And for these two conditions, for I is equal to 3, only 2 stars will be printed, and for I is equal to 4, only 1 star will be printed. And our inverted triangle. Moving on to our code, let's implement what we have learned till now. int I to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. For the inner loop, we have int j is equal to 5, j is greater than I, j minus minus. For this, system.out.print, we have star. And now for the outer loop, as we have to go to the next line, we have a println command. Now I'll run it and we'll see that what kind of pattern we are getting. So as you can see, our inverted star is printed. Now the question is, are we going to print only up to 5 rows? No. I'll define an integer n is equal to 8 and I'll put n in place of 5. So now our code will run for, oh sorry, now our code will run for n value, like whatever value the n hold. So you can see we have 8 rows and the stars is getting decremented by 1 from 8 to 1. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching the video and thanks for the patience. I hope you learned something new. मिलते हैं अगली वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए बाय बाय।